Putting this up here. Oh no, I'm sorry. So this little creature does not like to behave itself. For that, I apologize. I'm doing my absolute best to try and make sure everything is solid. And we are good. Hey, what's going on, Evan? Good to see you over here. I'm going to do my best to kind of keep everything. Can you see me clearly? That's my biggest question to you guys, is if you can see me clearly. He keeps saying to rotate my device, but all right, cool. So welcome to the new humble abode, if you will. We are really going to be putting out some different content. The whole goal of Marsh RC is in our mission is essentially changing. You guys have seen some great scale content coming out of us in the past, but I want to get better. So how am I going to do that? Well, first, you see the whole background is much different. It looks a lot, I wouldn't say the word professional, really. I've been doing some trainings while I have some time, and I'm going to address the situation we have dealing with right in a few minutes. But it's given me some time to really think, see outside. I see, okay, all right. I appreciate the support, guys. But I really want to make sure we just get better. That's the biggest goal that I have right off the bat. So one of the things that whenever I'm doing these type of chats, I want a professional background, as I just said. Took some time. I have some touch-ups to do, but I built a 6-truck little, well, here you go. Goes all the way up. We got my class 3 up there for anybody in sort of class 3. I got one hasn't really even been touched. It's a beautiful one. It's an Element. Skunk Works. Got my TF2, my D90, and I got my 6x right here. And of course, my trusty BRX01. Did some work on this bad girl today. I'm excited to talk about that in a little bit. So the second thing I wanted to kind of touch on was this bag right here. It's new into the scale world. Mike George came up with it. It's called Axial RC. And I've had some opportunity to do some trailing. Funny story, my beautiful wife and I decided to go and get out there and run the trucks. I'm so happy. She said, all right, let's go. Well, what she failed to tell me is the distance. We all know, be prepared, have maybe a couple granola bars, whatever, but water's key. And since we have transitioned from Pennsylvania, we are here now in Northern Virginia. Part of that is has gotten a little bit more fun, especially with the temperature. Well, being 70 degrees out, got a little warm, got a little thirsty, because it was 3.5 miles of not smooth elevation, but it was some solid hills. It would have made most people proud. This other part that made it even tougher was it was on asphalt. The particular trail that we had gone on used to be a golf course. Really some gorgeous area. By the way, there's some really nice rock crawling over there. We got to learn the tricks. It was about 1.5 miles in, but we could have totally made it only a half a mile had we taken a little shortcut, which I have discovered along the way. But and also got an opportunity to introduce the wife to rock crawling itself. So got to play a little bit, and like I said, I learned my lesson. Have water. I don't care if she said, oh, let's go, whatever. Guys, have water. Don't get dehydrated. My hips were killing me, and that's my biggest sign to my on my personal self that I am dehydrated. Everybody's different. Now, on that hike, I had my carry all RC bag. I was lucky because I didn't have to pack any trucks out. We all know how that goes. I was running my BRX01. The missus was running her 6x. Let me grab the beast here. And you can see I'm so proud of her. She got into the mud. Actually, I still got my battery up here in front, but at least it's unplugged. I'll take care of that here in a minute. So while making sure that happened, it's always important to have tools. And this is kind of where I want to get at with this segment. What do you have in your bag? Well, personally, when it comes to whether it's my carry-all RC bag or what's going to actually become from my old bag to my wife's bag now, I want to make sure that I have a couple of simple trail tools. Some of it's a little bit excessive. I'm not going to lie to you. So, for example, this is pretty excessive to have on the trail. It's also very useful. Second, you want to make sure you have a good pair of pliers. Now, this happens to be something I had won at a competition, and we've got a multi-tool. We have a fish scaler and got a knife and a couple other small tools in this. Having this has saved myself quite a bit. Also, with every carry-all RC bag, you get some sort of plastic bin. Well, in mine, I went with, and I keep in a spare servo. This one happens to be a Reefs RC 555 power, totally worth it. I also have a spare shift servo. Now, enough of my trucks happen to have shift servos, such as the VRX01, my TRX6. Skunkworks is going to have shift servo. I don't think I have anything else that has it up here. Also, I'm going to be keeping at least one shock. The only truck that doesn't run a 90mm shock is my BRX01 and the front of my TF2. Other than that, every other truck here has actually the same exact shocks, to be honest with you. I run the TRX for the GTS shocks, the stock ones. They don't have to be anything special color. That's just that's just what I like to do. Now, what I also have in here is some extra winch cable. So this happens to be 300-pound winch cable. Well, really fishing line, but totally does the job for winch cables. Also have my tips. This is simple because this goes really nicely with my 12-volt and adjustable clutch drill bit. Now, let's get into some of the other nitty-gritty details that are in this bag, in this area. I'm going to make I'm just going to kind of hold it and kind of tilt it so you guys might be able to see it. First, Loctite. Doesn't have to be the high-end stuff. I use Harbor Freight Loctite quite often. I also have a bunch of rod ends. Now, the BRX01 that I got came with a couple extra rod ends, with a lot of extra rod ends, excuse me. I keep those here. I also have, if I'm going to run this truck, a actual dedicated trail kit that BoomRacing puts out. So I keep that in there, but let's assume that this is going for every other truck but just the BRX. I also have bearings for a transmission, the outer the portals, as well as the something else on here. Transmission, the inner bearings. I know exactly which ones, and we're gonna have a discussion on which inner bearings like to fail the most often on a TRX4, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I also keep a spare set of at least 4 AA batteries for my radio, just in case they fail. We all know, even if you change it, sometimes you get a bad battery. You're out on a trail. A couple friends of mine do a lot of mileage, like 10, 20 miles. Then that's no joke. Shout out to Chris, Kentucky over there. And you actually, Kentucky, you should be getting this one. Getting this. And I also keep in my K&K stainless steel hardware. Other than that, I also have a spare receiver, and just in case, I have an adapter to a Deems battery. And in here, I have some extra wheel locks, and not gonna lie, it's kind of cheap, but it'll work. A Racing drive shaft. Now, they're not my favorite, but this is enough that it can at least get me home, and that's what matters, is getting me home. I also have a little piece of aluminum because you never know when something might break. You might need something to brace. Having a little piece of aluminum could be the difference between you getting home or not. And I also have a 25 tooth servo horn. That just kind of takes care of what I keep in the bag. It's well thought out for a reason. Carry the least amount possible, but at the same time, you also want to make sure you have the right tools. Now, what else do I want to discuss? I want to take a few moments and talk about the Axial SEX 10.3. Now, I have not had my hands on it, but I've had my eyes on it. Well, how about let me rephrase that. I haven't driven one, but I've seen one being driven. I think that's a better way to say it. I really like. Am I sideways? I'm sorry, man. I am sideways. Oh no. No. All right. See if this does this. All right, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna go off live. All right, hey, sorry, Bull Gear. So I don't understand. I'm trying to get this thing to rotate. That's my shop. I'm gonna try and get this to rotate really quickly while I have a moment. All right. Anyway, I guess I'm just gonna hold it as is. The 10.3 is a really nice truck with a 2-speed transmission, a lot of scale accessories, and the dig. A lot of people say it's a game changer. I wouldn't say it's quite a game changer, but I would say, even with portals, it was expected from Axial to do this. Now, I think many people would have been disappointed if Axial had not done the 10.3 the way they did. I think they're still going to keep the 10.2 available for those purists, which I really like. I also want to touch on the quality of the plastic. It's definitely there. Traxxas, but I think that driven right, it's going to hold up. We've seen the Capra itself being kind of a test bed, really, for the 10.3. And that should not have surprised anybody that knows Axial, that knows Horizon, and how they do things. That said, I also really look forward to really putting one through its test. Now, Bull Gear, you just mentioned that you bought a 10.3 today. I'm really excited to hear what you think. Your opinion is really does matter quite a bit. Oh, that's kind of a cool shot. Your opinion, especially to me, matters. You're not afraid to put your trucks through any kind of torture, like I do, and you always throw down and you always tell it like it is, which I respect quite a bit. Now, I actually do plan to purchase one. I've got some plans for it. The Mrs. Marsh RC has made a request, and I'm going to do my best to try and fulfill it. You know, they say what the wife wants, the wife gets. You know, happy wife, happy life. Oh, you almost bought one. Well, order it, brother. Order it. You should have. Send it. Just, oh, you should have just FedExed it back home, man. Almost. You're killing me, Smalls. I still know you're going to get one, and I still expect to hear exactly what I'm saying. I apologize for that mistake. But, I do plan to get one. I do plan to put it through its tests and its paces, and I think it'll do well, especially seeing how Axial has done. Am I still disappointed that it's not run like Jeff Johns did? Yes, I am. Am I excited to see where the future holds? Yes, I am. And that also goes through a quick shout out to Red Cat as well. They're really pushing the bill with the Wedingo, I believe that's how you say it. And they're not afraid to put in quality electronics. I mean, with the exception of servo. Servo is what it is. But they're using a lot of hobby wing, and it's clear they have a good relationship working with it. Okay, I'm going to switch gears here. What do I have going on here in the shop during this nationwide and worldwide crisis, really? First, I want to make sure and reach out and make sure you guys are safe. It matters quite a bit. Sorry, I'm giggling about Bulgir and his better half. I just want to make sure that you guys are safe, able to do the social distancing. A lot of my social distancing is coming on a trail where you can still give some space. Well, also, please be aware, it's getting warm out. And not that long ago, my BRX-01 and I got into it with a copperhead. I haven't had a chance to do any kind of major teardown yet, but it totally punctured this wheel. So I'm going to have to be very careful whenever I take the venom out. If you look very closely, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's some snake bite scratches on this truck. There's a good one right here. Let me see if I can get in on it. I'm gonna pick up the phone here so I can really get in on it. But yeah, right here. I'm gonna try and point at it as, you know what? I'll just put this down and then we'll point at it right here. That is totally a snake bite. And we have a little bit right here. That truck took a little bit of abuse from a copperhead. Okay, so we're back. No way, Bulgir. You should have called me, brother. COVID or not, it's not like I'm at work. You really are in my backyard. That's 20 minutes away from me. So, I'm going to get you because we got some beautiful trails over here. So, what do I have planned? First, well, that's even better. That means you got time. So, responding to Bulgir's just got here. Here we go. Nice little 3D printed Unimog. This came from Scale 3D. Comes in what? I haven't done the front yet, but I did some experimentation with different kinds of glue to see what best works out. This is PET G, and so far, Gorilla Glue worked. I used the traditional Gorilla Glue in white. Now, there's a downside to this for some of the projects, and it has like a foam. Not quite happy with that, but this thing's going to get beat on anyway. It's part of life. Now, if you look here, you can see the seam is much clearer. Well, I should say it's much better. It's harder to see, actually, in comparison. Right here. That I was very pleasantly surprised to see Loctite bonding systems just, well, I don't say they just came out, but this is what I use to fuse these hard plastics. It does say specifically that it'll work with polypropylene and the polypropylene based plastics. Specifically, it's meant, and you can see here with the earbuds, those are polypropylene based plastic because they just don't hold bacteria as nearly as well as some of the other plastics can. Well, that's what a lot of the PLA and PET G are. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes. Some of you guys that follow me on social media, on Facebook, may have seen a flat bed that I designed from scratch that might be able to carry any one of these trucks that are going to go on a 6x6 because I decided that Snap-on Traxxas partnership was too expensive. That's where that's going to go. I'm excited for that one, to be honest with you. Next, out of the Scale 3D mindset of me, I'm going to try and just kind of keep this a little bit organized because I got a lot. Got one of these Endura Jeep hard bodies. I've seen very entertainingly. My buddy Mike over at Hardcore RC was doing a competition and watched a lot of this glass. Well, it's not glass; it's really Lexan kind of explode out. It was honestly one of the most fun runs I've ever seen, because he just lifted it up and his better half was just picking it up and like shaking her head. I plan to actually use this front end, and I do have all the rest of the parts, but I'm going to make it a flatbed. Part of when I got the BRX-01, I got a bunch of parts, including a flatbed, and we are going to use this, and this is going to get creative. I have no idea. I haven't measured out how it's going to be, but to give you guys a general look-see of how it might go, it actually, I don't want to say it fits, but it looks kind of good. It's going to definitely be a work in progress. I'm looking forward to this truck. It's not going to be white. That's a guarantee, because I can't stand, I can't stand white trucks. That's just my personal preference. Next. I also plan to do, I keep touching on the BRX-01. I also plan to do the bearings in my BRX-01. I know the previous owner pushed this truck quite a bit. He got a Recon G6 certified during the fix up at Blue Rocks, and I mean, he really pushed this truck. So I need to do a bearing job, and I also needed to do some maintenance. So in terms of maintenance, I've done a new turbo, done Loctite in a couple of different areas. Some people I've noticed like the Loctite everything but maybe say the shocks or a servo horn or whatnot. But I personally always Loctite a servo horn. I've had too many of them come out, even after like it's just an easy 2-mile trail. Just bad luck. So what I plan to do and what I've been working on is actually the shocks themselves. These are the stock BoomRacing shocks. Literally nothing really super special about these. Nothing special at all, except I did go back and I made some adjustments on some geometry. I like a tight suspension. That's just the way I prefer to drive. Having driven a leaf truck for quite a bit, I've actually grown to really like that style, that tight, very predictable movement. And if you look at almost any one of my other trucks, even though these are all linked, the concept is still there. It's a linked truck, but it's very tight. I know what the body's going to do when it's going to do it. Consistency is a big thing for me, and that's what I really appreciate having been taught by some of my mentors. Now, I plan to do a full rebuild, as I had just said. Go through everything. Now that I have some time, I can do that, unless my tiny human decides that she doesn't want to, which is possible because she's my tiny human. Also, I plan to do some work on the outside of my shop. I am blessed to have a hillside that is awesome and has some very steep angles. Also has some great side hilling, has some great hill climbs, has some great a little bit of creek action. So we're going to take advantage, and you will see as these next couple of months go, you'll see some developments in that aspect. Things might be man-made, especially when it comes to some of that hillside area. I'm going to try and keep it as natural as possible. I really think I really believe that there's a lot of beauty in nature, so I want to take advantage of that. So that said, keep an eye out for what we got going on there. Also, I would do want to post apologize for having the vertical. I know YouTube does best on the horizontal, but for whatever technical difficulties they are, apologize. Sorry. I guess I should have restarted my phone. So, from here, if you guys have any questions, feel free. Please shoot me some comments. Talk to me. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say. Smash that sub button. Hit that like button. And once I can get some clean areas cleaned up, I'll give you guys a little bit of tour of my shop. All right, MJ, gonna sign off. Please have a good night. Please stay safe. Be conscious of your surroundings. Good night.